everything changed in a matter of seconds. Literally, blink and you miss it. You see, the brutal, unforgiving reality of the National Football League is that loyalty, well, loyalty is a luxury, and patience is a complete myth. For the New York Giants, a deeply proud, historic franchise, the artificial turf at MetLife Stadium has basically been soaked in the remnants of failed rebuilds and shattered expectations for the better part of a decade. I want you to really think about the wasted prime years of superstar talent. Think about the multi-million-dollar mistakes that are practically echoing through the Meadowlands as all these failed draft picks walk the sidelines. But now the tectonic plates of this entire organization have violently shifted. The old way of doing business is completely gone. The Harbaugh era has officially begun, and the mandate echoing through those cold halls of East Rutherford is chillingly simple: adapt or die.
But that raises a pretty devastating question, doesn't it? What actually happens when an unstoppable coach, armed with absolute, unquestioned authority, collides head-on with an immovable roster? We're talking about a roster completely bogged down by past mistakes, massive immovable contracts, and severely underperforming premium draft picks. The fallout here is going to be surgical, and let me tell you, it is going to be merciless. Welcome to the NFL Nexus. If you want to uncover the grim, unvarnished truths of this massive organizational rebuild, you need to subscribe to the channel right now. Go ahead and like this explainer and comment below on what you think about the drastic moves being made. And hey, support the channel by becoming a channel member to get exclusive access to our deepest, most intensive front office breakdowns. Okay, let's dive into this explainer and dissect the exact anatomy of a franchise standing on the absolute brink.
Section 1. Front Office Power Shift, the New World Order. To truly understand the gravity of what is happening down on the field, we first have to look into the shadows of the front office. The dismissal of former head coach Brian Daboll wasn't just a simple coaching change. It was a public execution of the old organizational philosophy. In steps John Harbaugh, a Super Bowl-winning architect who fundamentally demands complete, top-to-bottom control. This is a new world order, folks. The traditional hierarchy in New York is dead and buried. Harbaugh doesn't just coach the team, he is the undisputed gravitational center of the entire franchise. Listen closely to the chilling subtext hidden beneath this seemingly polite quote about General Manager Joe Schoen. Schoen recently received an extension through 2026. Historically, the Mara and Tisch ownership families are notoriously patient, right? They are loyal to a fault with their executives. But Harbaugh has completely broken that mold. When asked about Schoen's extension, Harbaugh said, "I respect ownership, that's their call, I was happy, he's a good guy, I enjoy working with him." Now read between the lines there. There is absolutely no declaration of a grand unified partnership. There is no sharing of the throne. Harbaugh respects ownership's call. He enjoys working with Schoen as a quote-unquote good guy. This is intensely politically loaded language. It's the calculated vocabulary of a man who knows he holds the ultimate trump card, and he answers to absolutely no one but the owners themselves. And the immediate consequences of that power dynamic? They're already reshaping the building. Joe Schoen's actual roster control is dwindling rapidly, day by day. Why? Because over the last 3 agonizing seasons, his regime has posted a dismal 13-38 record. Just think about that. 13 wins across 3 grueling, punishing years in the NFL media capital of the world. That catastrophic level of failure completely strips a general manager of his leverage in literally any personnel meeting. Now, the real operational power rests with John Harbaugh and a highly influential key front office figure, Dawn Aponte. If you don't know the name Dawn Aponte yet, you absolutely need to. She is a renowned salary cap guru, a top executive known for her ruthless, totally unfeeling contract negotiations and strict financial architecture. She looks at cap sheets, she doesn't care about draft capital. Aponte and Harbaugh have zero allegiance to the draft picks of the past 3 years. If you were drafted by Joe Schoen, your draft pedigree no longer protects you. It's completely irrelevant now. Under this new regime, if you do not fit the exact scheme, you are entirely expendable.
Section 2. First rounders on notice, the ticking clocks. That brings us to the players whose clocks are rapidly ticking down, the first rounders actively on notice. We are zooming in on a roster where John Harbaugh has absolutely no loyalty to the names stitched on the back of the jerseys, and frankly, there is no position more precarious right now than that of former 5th overall pick edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeau. Think about the massive number associated with his contract, $14.75 million. That is Kayvon Thibodeau's fully guaranteed salary cap hit for the 2026 season after his 5th-year option was picked up by the old regime. He is entering the season as the league's 17th highest-paid edge defender. But for that massive, franchise-altering financial burden, what is the actual production been on the field? Just 8 sacks, 53 tackles, and a measly 13 tackles for loss across 22 injury-riddled games over the last 2 seasons. That is a microscopic return on a massive financial investment. Think about the massive opportunity cost here. Paying $14.75 million directly prevents this team from signing a premier guard in free agency. It actively prevents them from acquiring a top-tier safety. In a ruthless league managed by Don Oppenty, you absolutely cannot survive as a part-time player making superstar guaranteed money. Trade rumors are already swirling like wildfire, and the Giants are reportedly holding firm demanding a day 2 pick if they are actually going to deal him.
To really grasp the tension building in that locker room, we have to dive into the X's and O's. Thibodeau is undeniably a solid run defender, arguably much better at setting a traditional heavy edge. But breathing right down his neck, second-year standout Abdul Carter. When Thibodeau was sidelined with a shoulder injury last year, Carter stepped right into the starting lineup and the defense didn't miss a single beat. Actually, they might have gotten more dynamic. In new defensive coordinator Denard Wilson's highly multiple scheme, pure edge setting just isn't always enough. You have to be a chess piece. Imagine a simulated pressure package on a crucial 3rd and 7. The defensive call requires the edge rusher to drop back into the flat to cover a quick tight end route while simultaneously showing a B-gap blitz to confuse the quarterback. Thibodeau struggles mightily to drop into space like that. Carter, however, brings a terrifying fluid versatility that fits exactly what this demanding coaching staff is looking for. The threat of Carter completely stealing Thibodeau's snaps is immense. It's real, and it is immediate.
But this crisis isn't just limited to the defensive line. Let's pivot to the secondary, where we find another former premium first-round pick literally fighting for his NFL life. 149.7. That was Deonte Banks' coverage rating in 2025, a career worst. Let's contextualize that number for a second so you understand exactly how disastrous it is. A perfect passer rating in the National Football League is 158.3. That means at 149.7, opposing quarterbacks targeting Deonte Banks were mathematically executing it near perfection. They were practically throwing against air. Every single time they snapped the ball, offensive coordinators were actively hunting him, isolating him on the boundary, and utterly exposing his technique. The crushing, undeniable weight of that performance led to Banks literally losing his starting job to Cordell Flott. Flott, a day 2 pick with superior length and fluid hips, managed to usurp Banks under the hot August sun in training camp, reducing a premium draft asset to nothing more than a developmental backup and a kickoff returner.
The crucial point here is understanding exactly how Banks fundamentally fails to fit into the new regime. When you contrast Banks against this year's second-round pick, rookie Colton Hood, the writing is on the wall. Banks has always possessed the raw length and straight-line speed, sure, but his take is severely plagued by technical inconsistency. He gets entirely too grabby at the top of route stems because his hips are tight, and he consistently fails to turn his head to locate the football in phase. Enter Denard Wilson's scheme. Wilson demands a rigorous, highly physical press-man defensive system. Colton Hood comes from a collegiate system where he lived and breathed press-man coverage. You look at his college tape. His footwork is violent but controlled. He utilizes a punishing two-hand jam at the line of scrimmage to violently reroute X-receivers before they even get into their stems. He is a perfect, custom-fit puzzle piece for Wilson's defense. Furthermore, Hood is on a highly cost-effective rookie deal. If Banks doesn't miraculously turn in an all-pro caliber season, his expensive inconsistency will be ruthlessly replaced by Hood's high-upside pedigree without a single second thought.
Section 3. The center of attention. Trenches in turmoil.
But look, games in the NFL are truly won and lost in the brutal reality of the trenches, and the Giants' offensive line is currently in a state of absolute turmoil. We're shifting our focus to the literal center of the offensive line, where 2023 second-round pick John Michael Schmitz is staring down the barrel of a regime that did not draft him, does not owe him a single favor, and demands a completely different style of athletic play. I want you to meticulously consider the data comparing Schmitz since 2023. A 1.99% pressure rate. Visualize what that actually means on the field. Defensive tackles are consistently walking him straight back into the quarterback's lap. He has a 38.1% pass block success rate. That means on roughly 6 out of every 10 passing downs, your center is yielding crucial ground to a 320-pound nose tackle. That ranks a dismal 17th among centers with at least 2,000 snaps. Now contrast those incredibly mediocre sluggish numbers against John Harbaugh's ultimate athletic ideal from his time in Baltimore, Tyler Linderbaum. Linderbaum's metrics are elite across the board due to unmatched leverage and violent hand placement. But it's not just about the spreadsheet numbers here, guys. It's about the fundamental physical mechanics of how these two men play the game of football. Traditional zone blocker versus athletic puller in space. Let the stark physical differences of those two roles really sink in. Schmitz is a grinder. He has good pure upper body strength, which is perfect for traditional inside zone blocking, where you are simply asked to battle your man in a phone booth. But John Harbaugh's specific offensive run game demands violent, highly athletic movement. When you hear athletic puller in space, visualize a very specific play design. Visualize a counter tray. The ball is snapped. The center must immediately disengage from the defensive lineman, aggressively flip his hips, pull across the offensive formation, navigate through the chaotic, violent trash of the A and B gaps, locate a 240-pound middle linebacker moving at full speed at the second level, and completely obliterate him in open space before the running back even arrives. Schmitz simply does not possess that elite split-second processing speed or agility in space. The glaring gap in his movement skills forces us to deeply question whether Schmitz has any long-term survival prospects in this new offensive ecosystem.
Section 4. The receiver room crisis, an offense on the brink.
We've seen the ruthless calculations on defense. We've seen the agonizing physical limitations in the trenches. But the most alarming situation currently unfolding in New York is on the perimeter. The Giants have spent tens of millions of dollars and premium draft capital to completely rebuild this offense, but devastating medical chaos is threatening to burn it all to the ground before the season even begins. Follow this catastrophic timeline. In 2025, their absolute #1 offensive weapon, Malik Nabers, suffers a devastating ACL tear. Fast forward through agonizing months of grueling rehab to the 2026 offseason, and his body fails to heal properly. He requires an additional, secondary knee cleanup procedure. Think about the extreme physical and psychological toll that takes on an explosive, twitchy receiver. An ACL tear completely strips you of your raw explosiveness. A secondary cleanup procedure completely strips you of your mental confidence in the joint itself. Now the organization is staring down a looming Week 1 deadline for his return. The walls are rapidly closing in on second-year quarterback Jackson Dart. If Nabers cannot return to full explosive strength, Dart is essentially throwing to ghosts out there. The entire vertical passing attack is decapitated. Add in lingering nagging ailments to veterans like Darius Slayton, Gunnar Olszewski, and Bo Collins, and you have an offense quite literally on the brink of complete structural collapse.
Section 5. A rookie's unforgiving spotlight. When high-priced veterans fall to the medical tent, rookies are aggressively forced to stand up. And that leads us to a third-round rookie who is suddenly and entirely unexpectedly carrying the staggering weight of an entire historic franchise on his 22-year-old shoulders. Enter Malachi Fields, the 74th overall pick in the NFL draft. Consider the imposing physical profile here. 6'4", 222 pounds, out of Notre Dame. The Giants front office knew the horrific medical storm that was brewing with their wide receiver room, which is exactly why they executed an aggressive, high-stakes draft weekend trade with the Cleveland Browns. They didn't just passively wait for him to fall to them. They surrendered a valuable late third-round pick and a highly coveted 2026 fourth-round pick to literally leapfrog into the Brown spot specifically to secure this towering ex-receiver. This was absolutely not a luxury selection. Detailing the mechanics of this trade proves their absolute desperation. They jolted up the draft board because they knew they desperately needed a contingency plan, and that contingency plan is about to be thrust into the starting lineup against elite NFL cornerbacks on day one. Let's treat these specific metrics as absolute forensic evidence proving exactly why the Giants made that aggressive, desperate move up the draft board. Let's look at the exact capabilities he brings to the field. First, 36 receptions for 630 yards and 5 touchdowns in his final year at Notre Dame. He is highly productive against premier collegiate defenses. But look deeper into the advanced metrics. 2.20 yards per route run. That shows extreme, efficient route running. When he's on the field, he is not just running cardio. He is manipulating leverage, getting open, and gaining actual yards. Then we have a 16.4 average depth of target. This is the crucial element of his game. He is not a simple checkdown receiver running drag routes. A 16.4 ADOT means he is running 9 routes, deep posts, and skinny goes, dragging 2 high safeties 20 yards downfield to stretch the defense to its absolute breaking point. And finally, a staggering 47.8% contested catch rate. Imagine a critical 3rd and 9 at the opponent's 45-yard line. Jackson Dart drops back, there is unblocked pressure right in his face, and he throws up a desperate 50-50 ball. Fields uses his dense 222-pound frame to physically box out a professional cornerback and violently high-point the football. He is precisely the gritty, physical weapon Jackson Dart needs to salvage this battered passing game. But here is the silent, unfeeling assassin that governs every single decision in the modern National Football League, the collective bargaining agreement and the salary cap. $422,547. That is the microscopic dead money charge on Malachi Field's rookie contract if he were somehow released tomorrow. His total cap hit is barely over $1.3 million. To understand the ruthlessness of the NFL, you have to understand exactly how dead money mechanically restricts a franchise. Rookie deals under the current CBA are fixed, highly controllable assets. Now, contrast that specific financial flexibility against the massive, immovable, fully guaranteed multi-million-dollar veteran contracts weighing this entire team down. Contracts like Kayvon Thibodeau's guaranteed 50-year option of nearly $15 million. A fifth-year option is fully guaranteed at signing under the CBA. You cannot escape it. The Giants are financially imprisoned by Joe Schein's old draft picks. They desperately, absolutely need cost-controlled rookies like Malachi Fields to not just play snaps, but to significantly excel, because the bloated, inherited mistakes of the past regime have completely crippled their financial ability to maneuver in free agency.
So we inevitably arrive at the ultimate overarching question staring down this proud franchise. Will John Harbaugh's ruthless, highly surgical gambles across the roster actually pay off on Sundays, or will the casualties simply continue to multiply? The Harbaugh era has indeed begun. But make no mistake about it, the roster casualties we've discussed today, the lost starting jobs, the threatened guaranteed contracts, the looming desperate trades, they have only just started. The very culture is fundamentally changing in New York, and it is leaving a long, undeniable trail of bodies in its wake. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive explainer on the NFL Nexus. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like this explainer, and comment your thoughts down below. And please, become a channel member to actively support more of these intensive, unvarnished explainers. Until next time, keep your eyes locked on the gridiron, because the real, bloodiest battles are happening in the front office long before the ball is even snapped.